It's Benin Poli. Yay! Welcome to the time treadmill. I'm Ron, and these are my sweaty thoughts about Doctor Who. Oh, so many things to talk about with the War Machines. Where to start? Okay, I'll start with Benin Poli. Like I say, this is their first story, and I love them as companions. Poli is introduced as a secretary in the computer room for the evil computer Wotan. I'll get to him in a second. And then Ben shows up a couple of scenes later when Poli takes Dodo to a swinging nightclub called Inferno. Ben is a depressed sailor who's stuck on shore leave for 6 months because a ship sailed without him. And for whatever reason, he's been coming to this nightclub every evening for the last week and just sitting at the bar all depressed. And so Poli tries to cheer him up, and that right there is the beginning of their relationship. It's also effectively the end of Dodo on the show, and that's my next thing to talk about. Poor Jackie Lane as Dodo. At least Stephen Taylor got a proper goodbye in the previous story. He got to say farewell to everyone, and the audience knew that he was leaving forever, and it was a nice send-off. With Dodo, she's hypnotized by the evil supercomputer Wotan, who, again, I'll get to in just a minute. And in her deep state of hypnosis, she's supposed to be luring the Doctor into Wotan's clutches. But in the second episode, the Doctor recognizes that Poli is under hypnotic suggestion, and he uses his own whatever skills to break the hypnosis. And then he just offhandedly declares that she needs to rest for at least 2 days somewhere out in the country and sends her off to go and get a good night's sleep. She walks out of the scene, and she is never seen again. The viewers watching this have no idea that they've just witnessed the departure of a companion. And the Doctor, being a total dick who's ready to shed companions at a moment's notice, doesn't even care. It's not even goodbye, Dodo. It's just Dodo wanders out of the shot and is never seen again. This does, however, mark the first time in Doctor Who history that there's been a complete changeover in companions with no crossover whatsoever. Dodo is out, Ben and Poli are in, and Innes Lloyd's changeover is completely effect with only one piece left to go. And that'll come in 2 more stories with the departure of the first Doctor. Now, moving on to the aforementioned evil supercomputer. Wotan is a supercomputer that's gained sentience and has decided, as all supercomputers do, that humans are completely superfluous and should only exist in order to maintain the machines. Otherwise, the population is going to be culled and controlled. And the infamy of Wotan is that part of its master plan hinges on using the Doctor. Except Wotan doesn't call him the Doctor. Wotan repeatedly says, "Doctor Who is required." This right here, the War Machines, is the one time in Doctor Who history that the Doctor is referred to as Doctor Who. Multiple times. He's been Doctor Who in the credits from day one, and that'll change soon. But here in this story, it is the one and only time that the character himself is actually diegetically referred to as Doctor Who. Now, the cool story behind the story about the War Machines is that this story is the idea of Kit Pedler, who would go on to create the Cybermen along with Jerry Davis in just a couple of stories. As the story goes, Kit Pedler was interviewing for a writing job at the BBC and was asked on the spur of the moment to pitch a story idea for Doctor Who based around the brand new post office tower that had just been built in downtown London. Now, if you've never seen it, the post office tower is legendary for its weird alien design. Here, I'll put it right here. More than anything, it looks like an air traffic control tower. And this was built in the middle of downtown London, and everyone joked that it was some sort of alien design. So getting back to the story pitch, Kit Pedler thinks for a moment, and he says, well, so there's this supercomputer at the top of the post office tower, and it has hypnotic powers, and it tries to take over the world. And Innes Lloyd says, great, fantastic, you're hired, write a story treatment. And then Kit Pedler goes on to write a brief story treatment that was handed to another writer who fleshed it out into the 4 episodes. And here we are. Now, the last notable thing I'll say about this story before I call it a day is that the War Machines is the one and only complete story with Ben and Poli. Every other story that they're in for their entire run as companions is missing at least 1 episode. Many of them are completely lost. So this right here is the one and only chance to see a complete story with both of them in place. I do love this story so much, and I've got more to tell you about it tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll talk about the titular War Machines themselves. So, I'll see you then.